Hello, Rebel, and welcome back to my life. I had a lot I wanted to talk about today. In fact, I had too much that I wanted to talk about today, and so today's video is like Frieza after he fought Goku. It comes to you in 4 parts. Part number 1, I finished Hellskin Episode 2. It's done. It's live on Patreon right now, available for my patrons to read. Click on the link in the description, become a patron, and you can start reading the next Underrealm book. In fact, you can go back to last week and read Episode 1 and then read Episode 2 from this week. It's there. It's out there for people to read. Listen, writing episodes again is fantastic. I love it. It is so much fun and fulfilling and gives me such a sense of accomplishment. Like, I know it's probably not for everyone, but if you've never tried it before, and if you're having trouble with your writing, if it feels like something's missing, if it feels like, you're not getting enough done, maybe give it a shot. I really find something lovely and appealing about it. And that's true despite the fact that this episode that came out today, episode 2, gave me way more trouble than episode 1 did. It was a lot harder. There was a lot more to figure out. I was struggling, and I still loved doing it. I'm also getting like a little bit more ahead every week. On the first week, I finished on Wednesday. This week, I finished on Tuesday. And by the time you watch this, I might already be done with the 3rd episode for next week. Like, I'm ahead for the first time in years. What is this? Part number 2, the work week. In related news to part number 1, this week was a really good week for me personally and for my work. This week, I spent 2 hours on last week's video, 2.5 hours on the May podcast. So I produced all of the podcast episodes that are going to go out in May, and 5 hours on a secret, mostly secret, kind of secret book project that I can't talk about too much publicly yet. If you're a patron, you might already know what I'm talking about. But anyway, 5 hours on that secret project. And then I spent 21 hours on the next Underrealm book, Hellskin. So at this stage in Hellskin, I am writing new words again, as opposed to just editing words that I wrote months ago. And boy, does that feel really good. This week I wrote 8,800 words, and that's actually pretty light. Like, a lot of this week was spent on editing, but in the new week, I'm going to be writing a lot more new words. Like, just creating stories, writing books. It feels good. I love my job. Part number 3. Oregon is reopening. I live in Oregon, if you didn't already know that, and my state overall has been handling the pandemic really well. Like, this situation's not good for anybody, right? And I think we all understand that, but we have just been responding in the exact right way with sensible policies that are, oh my God, based on science. And a recent Harvard study concluded that only 9 states in America are actually safe to reopen, and Oregon is one of them. That being said, we're not just throwing the doors open wide. The state is going on a county-by-county basis, and if the county's numbers are good enough that it shows that citizens are getting safer over time and not more endangered, we're opening in phases. And phase 1 starts today in my county, meaning that people are allowed to get together again and socially gather as long as they keep their distance, maintain, their hygiene and everything like that, but I can see people again, and I can do it without a huge amount of fear that people are going to be irresponsible and that this pandemic is going to spread and that somebody I know and love could get sick or die. That's a good thing. I really want to praise and applaud our governor, Kate Brown. She has been doing a great job at managing this whole thing, at communicating how she's managing it, which is a very important skill a lot of politicians don't seem to have. And she is listening to the numbers and the scientists and the doctors who actually know what they're talking about, and she is taking steps based on their recommendations, and it is showing in the results, which is the only important way to measure it. I'm proud to be an Oregonian right now. That's it. That's the whole summary of what I have to say on the subject. Part number 4, I have a TV recommendation for you. It's the show Hollywood on Netflix. Megan and I watched the show this week, and we just really, really liked it a lot. It's funny because when I first started watching it, I thought it was going to be a historical or historical fiction account of Hollywood in the 40s and 50s. But it's not. It's actually alternate history, a what if Hollywood was different in the 40s and 50s. It takes a few big names from back in those days, but they are different. You are not going to watch their real life stories play out in the show. And then it invents some new characters, and notably it has a big cast of queer characters and characters of color, and says, what if Hollywood wasn't 100% awful to them 70 years ago? Okay, so I have to spoil something. If you don't want any spoilers on Hollywood before you watch it, just stop the video right now and go watch it. I think you'll really enjoy it, but I need to spoil it because to me, the selling point of the show is the ending. Like, I want to go tell people, go watch this show because here's how it ends, because I really don't think that spoiling anything is going to ruin your enjoyment of it, because my enjoyment of it was based on the fact that it has a happy ending. And unfortunately, that's what I mean by its alternate history. You see these characters who are queer or people of color, and they go try to break into Hollywood filmmaking, and it works. They change the face of Hollywood filmmaking, and yes, they receive opposition. They face backlash and protests from people who don't think that black people should be in movies or queer people should be in movies. But they win. It's by far a perfect show, even on the social justice issues front. There are some things that aren't perfect or great about it, but it's basically just a show about queer people and people of color getting, like, wish fulfillment and just winning and succeeding in a time when that didn't happen. And wish fulfillment is fine. I don't know. For me personally, it's okay to tell stories that have happy endings for queer people and people of color, even if they're not based in reality, even if they are literally the opposite of what really happened. And it's so awesome to just see these people make the movies they want to make and change the way society thinks about certain issues and win Oscars for it. It's great. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. I kept waiting to be like, okay, but this is when reality comes back in, right? This is when they all start to lose. And they don't. They just win! I've never seen that. I've never seen this happen before. It was really enjoyable, and oh boy, I really enjoyed myself. I think you'll enjoy it too. Go check it out. Two minor details of note about it. First is a content warning. There is some sexual assault, but it is not graphic. It is never on screen, and it is actually addressed pretty well within the story itself, in a realistic way that is respectful and again has an overall happy ending. And the other detail is not a content warning, but a cool thing, which is that they discuss explicitly the N-word without ever saying it. They deal with that word and its awfulness and its effect on the people it is used against. And again, they don't say it. That is a lesson that other film and TV creatives could possibly stand to learn. Not that I want to name any names on this subject. I don't know if you can tell, Rebel, but I'm having a good time right now. It's been a good week. I think it's going to be a good day today. I'm writing a new book. I'm putting it out. I'm creating videos. I get to see friends again. When you watch this, I might be hanging out with friends right now. Everything is not miraculously better. The world is not miraculously perfect now. Everything's not fine. But it feels like for a brief time, in one place, things are turning around, and God, I just need that. That's all I've got for you today, Rebel. Don't forget, if you support me on Patreon, even for only $1 a month, you get every book of Underrealm as I'm writing it, months ahead of anyone else. If you want to be one of those awesome and incredibly attractive individuals, click on the Patreon link in the description below or on your screen right now. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Friday. Bye!